Well, welcome everybody. We're so glad you're here. I get the honor of doing the music tonight with my buddy Rob Lowe, and we're going to start with a bit of a hymn. This is a song that was written by Tom Waits, and if you know it, feel free to sing along. Well, the moon is broken and the sky is cracked. Come on up to the house. The only thing that you can see is all that you lack. Come on up to the house. All the old crying won't do no good. Come on up to the house. Come down off the cross. We can use the wood. Come on up to the house. You gotta come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. The world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. Come on up to the house. There's no light in the tunnel, no irons in the fire. Come on up to the house. And you're singing lead soprano in a junk man's choir. Come on up to the house. Well, doesn't life seem nasty, brutish and short? Come on up to the house. The seas are stormy and you can't find no port. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. The world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. The world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. Come on up to the house. Where there's nothing in the world that you can do. Come on up to the house. You've been whipped by the forces that are inside you. Come on up to the house. Well, you're high on top of your mountain of woe. Come on up to the house. And you know you should surrender, but you can't let go. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. The world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house.
Welcome again to all of you who are in-house this evening with us, And welcome to all of you that are out there in the Ethernet or the internet or wherever you are, because we know there's a whole ton of you out there watching this service tonight, and we're so glad to have you. I am Reverend Chris Plem, and I am the host for this evening. We do have a practitioner in consciousness up front. As you know, our musicians are Dr. Barry and Rob Lowe. Our message tonight will be presented by Reverend Kay Johnson. Her topic is, don't believe everything you think. So we will find out what we should or shouldn't think, maybe. It's all up to you. So let us just center ourselves for a moment, though, and I ask you to just maybe take a deep breath. Let whatever has gone on for you this day, just let it fade away. Let us just recognize in this moment that we are in the house. We are always in the house of Spirit. For Spirit, yes, is this church, but Spirit is so much more. It is each of us, individuated creations of that one Holy Spirit. That our lives are truly sacred first. We were created in the mind of God before our physical presence was even known. So we are angels. We are spirit. And in this recognition, I know that we are centered. We are open to the message. We are open to the music. We're open to our lives. I have an inspirational reading from Dr. Michael Beckwith. The universal presence, through law, responds to your frequency, responds to your dominant thought, responds to the vibration you are holding on a regular basis. If you want real change and real transformation to take place in your life, your vibrational address must change. You must be equipped vibrationally to live a joyful life. So we just let those words relax. We relax. We're open. And now I think that Barry and Rob are going to tell us what we're thinking about.
So Reverend Kay asked if we would do this song tonight. We usually do this with the full band and a lot of dancing and background vocals and all that, but we're going to kind of do a more minimalist version of it tonight. Feel free to sing the backgrounds if you'd like, but this is a song that ties right in with Ernest Holmes saying, "Guard well the garden of your mind. There lies your promised land." Soon as we wake up in the morning, that's when the voices start. Don't take long before they run from your head right to your heart. We got fears about the future, regrets about the past, and stuff we're not sure where it's from, but it's coming on fast. We're all thinking stuff together, but we're feeling all alone, and we're making up this movie, our own motion picture show. When you walk out in the world each day, it's a battle for your mind. Some folks want your money, some folks want your time, and they all want your attention, and they get it how they can. Guard well the garden of your mind. There lies your promised land. 'Cause we're all made up of all that stuff we're taking in each day. And if we don't pay attention, we're gonna waste our lives away. It's what we're thinking about. 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 It's what we're thinking about that's changing the scenes of our lives. Well, there's some folks thinking scarcity, there's not enough to go around. Other folks thinking we can all be fed, that solutions can be found. But we're bunkered into high-walled camps, left and right it seems, and there's not much time for talking when everybody screams. In every new election, we reach another low, but unless we work together, where do we think we'll go? Well, we used to have Walter Cronkite for a half hour every day. Now it's 24/7 red alert. News folks won't go away, and they plant those pictures in our minds like a billion nasty weeds, till it makes it hard for us to find some place to plant our seeds. Might just be the off switch with the best control of all, 'cause there ain't no TV hero gonna catch you when you fall. It's what we're thinking about. 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 It's what we're thinking about that's painting the scenes of our lives. Well, there's some folks think about revenge, an eye for every eye. It's all about getting even and settling up before you die. Some folks think forgiveness, the hard road to the heart, is the only way we'll get there. Now's the time to start, and we all make up our own minds which way we're gonna go. There's some things they tell you to believe, other things you just know. We got a big investment that war is the only way. Lots of people thinking that that's the truth today, that the world is just a sandbox, a game of push and shove. Other folks thinking that there is no power greater than love, and we were not left alone here to wait for peace to come. We've been given all the tools we need. Let's start using some. It's what we're thinking about. 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 It's what we're thinking about that's painting the scenes of our lives. It's what we're thinking about. 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 It's what we're thinking about that's painting the scenes of our lives. It's what we're thinking about that's painting the scenes of our lives. It's what we're thinking about that's painting the scenes of our lives. Yeah, Rob Lowe on the piano right there. Yeah. Please welcome warmly, if you would, Reverend Kay Johnson.
Thank you, Barry. Wasn't that great? That was so much fun. Yeah, he wrote that song. How long ago did you write that? Remember? 10 years. Yeah, still real. It really rings true. It's wonderful. It's great. Well, thank you for being here. And we are going to talk about not believing everything we think. So thinking was a big topic for Ernest Holmes. And so there's a lot of wonderful quotes of things that he said about thinking and the power of our thinking. But I chose one for tonight that's just really simple. And let me read it to you. We attract to ourselves that which is like our thought. Now, Dr. Barry said this in his song. What we're thinking about is painting the scenes of our lives. Now, that's poetry. For me, that's poetry. But they're reflecting exactly the same concept. So we often say, almost offhandedly, change your thinking, change your life. That's something that we hear a lot around Science of Mind. But tonight I thought we would honestly check in with where are some places perhaps in your life where things aren't quite what you are wishing they could be, and therefore maybe there's some thinking that's going on there. Because really, we have a tendency to be fairly negative. That's really comes with the territory, being people. So where did that come from? Well, let's just look back 100 million years ago or so, whatever. And caveman and cavewoman really only had two things they needed to worry about. One was, can I eat it? The other one was, is it going to eat me? So the people who were very negative and paranoid and always looking for the problem and always pointing, be careful, don't do that, be quiet, shh, don't talk so loud, be careful when you walk down to the river. Those negative people were the ones that saw the tiger first and ran away and survived. And they were also the ones that procreated. And so now multiply that times, 100,000 generations, and we have actually inherited that tendency. It's actually kind of difficult for us to be really positive. It just doesn't come naturally. And so therefore we have this robust, chatty, inner scolding voice that is always warning about things, pointing out deficiencies, what you did wrong, now you're doing it again, the negative stuff. So we call this the inner critic. Now, Josh Reeves, one of our lead ministers, gave a talk on June 6th on trust. And I hope you heard it, I hope you were here or you listened to it, because it was a wonderful talk. And in it, he told a story about losing his wedding ring. And what he shared with us was what his inner voice said to him the moment that he realized that his ring was not on his finger. And this is what he said. Josh, you're an idiot. You know all the times you've done wrong in your life. Well, here's another one. Now that's the inner critic. And we all have one. So what to do? Well, let's look at the first slide. Notice, name it, think again. So the hardest part of this might be noticing. I mean, we got to pay attention actually to what we're thinking and notice it. And then I suggest naming it, especially the inner critic. Give it a name. Because what that does is it neutralizes it. It sort of separates it a little bit from us. And then we can have a chance to think again. But if we don't notice, we aren't even aware, then we don't have any chance for any kind of change. So we did this in a class that we held on self-compassion. And then we also did it with the staff here at the church. And so we had them name their inner critic. And I'll tell you some of the names they came up with. Somebody, my inner critic, I named my inner critic Nagging Nellie. Nagging Nellie. Somebody else came up with Witchy Wanda, and someone else decided it was Cruella from Disney. And then the one that ended up the favorite was Debbie Downer from Saturday Night Live. Now, some of you may remember Debbie Downer. Apparently, she was incredibly negative about everything. She could come into a place where people were actually happy and having a party, and she could close it down with one sentence. So do you have a Debbie Downer in your head? Most of us have some version of that. So what do we do? Well, we could name it, and then first notice, then name it, and then think again. So one of the ways I think to think again, to look at something else, is to have a really short affirmation. And so you're going to begin to think that I created this whole talk based on Michelle and Josh, which I sort of did. So last week, if you were here last week, you remember that Michelle gave us, talked to us about this little sign she has on her desk that she repeated for us. I just loved that. I've been using it this week. And I think this is one of the ways to move out of the inner critic. So let's do a little process right now, just very short. So put your hand on your heart, and I'm going to say this affirmation, and then I want you to say it after me. And if you're brave, say it out loud. And if you don't want to, that's okay too. Okay. God is in me, and I am in God. Now your turn. God is in me, and I am in God. Now take a nice breath. And this time, let's say it together. Ready? God is in me, and I am in God. Now, I guarantee you that your energy has shifted from us just doing that. Just that little tiny few seconds of saying that. The other thing is, putting your hand on your heart actually signals the body to relax, to move out of any kind of stress or worry, and just to go into its rest and repair. So this physical thing is also something you can do, as well as that. So the energy has changed because your thinking changed and what you said changed. We are now painting a scene in our life that we really want to live. So another thing that Barry talked about in the song, and I'm going to read this stanza over again. We got fears about the future, regrets about the past, stuff I'm not sure where it's from, but it's coming on fast. We're making up this movie, our own motion picture show. So first we were painters painting the scenes. Now we're motion picture producers. It's all about what we're creating. So one of the things that happens when people come to a workshop in the healing ministry, they usually come with a story. And the story is why they signed up for the class. They want something to change. And what we tell them on the first day is, what we're going to do in this workshop is we're going to create a new story. That's the purpose of what we're going to do here. We're going to create a new story. Because otherwise, it's real easy to get caught in the past, the regrets of the mistakes that were made, or to start thinking things like, why is this happening to me? What did I do? What happened? Do I deserve it? So I had a young lady come and talk to me and ask for counseling early in my ministry. And I'll never forget what she said to me. She said, I deserve to be sick because I have made so many mistakes in my life. That's not true. You can't believe that. But if you do believe it, if you do believe something like that you deserve to be sick because of what you did, I can tell you that your body is going to go along with that belief and help you make it a reality. And that's not, of course, not what we want. We just can't believe all the things that we worry about. And going over past things, having something that happened in your past that you really regret or that you feel you really made a mistake, and then you go back and you relive it. Because remember what Ernest said, what I read at the beginning. We attract to ourselves that which is like our thought. And he also went on and talked specifically about things in the past. Yesterday is forever past. We cannot relive it. But too often in our imagination, we do live it over again and again. And in doing, bring the misery of yesterday into today. And we know that today is the only day we can really live our life, just in this moment. Notice, name it, think again. So another thing that was in that paragraph that I read from Barry's song is the fears about the future. Now, I have some personal experience with this one. When I was going through my cancer experience years ago. I did pretty good during the day. I got along fine. But at night, I didn't sleep well. And that's because the chemo was bothering me. And so I would wake up in the night and there was nothing to do, nobody to talk to, no distractions. And so I would start awfulizing about what might happen. What if this doesn't work? What if it gets worse? What if the treatment is worse than they told me? Or what if the treatment doesn't work? That is a dark rabbit hole to go down, whether it's about a health challenge or something else. So what I did, and this is because I had a regular practitioner, and so I'm telling you that if you're facing something that's really tough to sort through, seeing a practitioner regularly is really a wonderful thing to do. And I did that throughout that whole period of time. So that practitioner and I created an affirmation for me to say, one that really spoke to me. And so the affirmation was this: every cell in my body is vibrating at the frequency of wholeness, health, and divine love. Now, I can tell you, if every cell in your body is vibrating at those energies, there's not any cancer. So that was my affirmation, and I would use that to beat down my fear. I would just say it over and over and over and over. And I had to do that anyway because it was really kind of long, and it took me a while to get it memorized. But I did. I said it over and over. And again, that thinking, those thoughts shift the energy. We want to shift the energy to what it is we want and not believe all the negative things that are going on in our brains. So the body and the brain produce stress hormones when we're worrying like that, like adrenaline and cortisol, that kind of thing. The body is always eavesdropping on what we're thinking. See, this and this is not separate. It is a oneness. It's all operating together. The good news is the opposite is also true, that if you shift your thinking, then the body reacts very differently. When you visualize healing and you visualize a problem that you have becoming solved, when you visualize a happy outcome, then the body releases different hormones: oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine. These are the happy hormones. And that changes the physical condition in your body. The body is a magnificent self-healing miracle, as long as we don't let our thinking get in the way. So now let's look at the second slide. Never say anything unkind, untrue, or unnecessary to yourself or to anyone else. See, the worrying about the future, that's unnecessary. Reliving a past bad experience, that's unnecessary. So let go of that. Never say or think anything unkind, untrue, or unnecessary to yourself or anyone else. So let's talk about other people for a moment. You know, sometimes our thinking about other people simply isn't true. I mean, we make up stuff. We make up what's motivating them, or we make up assumptions, and we have judgments, when in truth, we really don't know what's going on with them. So Tara Brach and Jack Kornfield are marvelous spiritual teachers, so I'm sure some of you are familiar with them. And I took a class with them, and they shared this story, which I want to share with you. So there was a young man, he was in the military, and he had a problem with his temper. So his superior officer told him, I want you to sign up and take this mindfulness workshop. It was 8 weeks of mindfulness training. And so, of course, he did it. Well, at about 6 weeks, he found himself in the grocery store. And he was in a very long line. I mean, it was a long line, lots of waiting. And there was a woman, some part ahead of him, who had a child, carrying a child, and she only had one item. And the fact is that the express line was somewhere else. And she should have been in the express line. And he got a little irritated about that. And then, so finally, time went on, and people kept going through the line. And finally, this woman got to the checkout clerk. And so now they're talking about the baby, and they're gooing and cooing over this baby. And then she takes the baby, this woman takes the baby, and hands it to the checkout clerk. Well, this really undid him. I mean, he was beyond himself. He could feel the energy rising. He could feel it. But then he noticed. He noticed. And he thought to himself, he named it, this is the anger that I've been working on. I'm going to think something else. I'm going to go somewhere else. So he did notice that the kid was really pretty cute. So finally, when he got up to the checkout place, to the checkout person, he said to her, very nicely, he said, well, I noticed that boy that you all were talking about was, and that you were looking at and holding, was really a cute kid. And she said, oh, thank you. That's my son. So my husband was in the military like you, but he was killed in Afghanistan last year, and I had to start working full time. And so my mother takes care of the baby, and she tries to bring him every day so that I can see him. We just can't afford to believe what we're thinking all the time. We really need to notice, name it, and then think again. There is a brilliant researcher and author named Adam Grant who wrote a book called Think Again. And what he said was, in his conclusion of this incredibly interesting book, he said, what true wisdom is really knowing what it is you do not know. So we're going to move into a musical prayer right now. And I want to remind you, never say anything unkind, untrue, or unnecessary to yourself or to anyone else.
I let my soul surrender to the spirit that's inside of me. I let my heart fall open to this love that is setting me free. In this sacred moment where I stop and taste the breath of peace, I leave the troubles of this world behind me, and I rest in your amazing grace. Move in me, Great Spirit, now I feel you in my heart. In your presence, I remember that we never have been apart. I will stop my thinking, if only for a little while. Leave my stories at the door for later, and step into the silent smile. When my cup is empty, I am filled to overflow with peace. I know I have the kingdom in me, on a journey that will never cease. Move in me, Great Spirit, now I feel you in my heart. In your presence, I remember that we never have been apart. In your presence, I remember that we never have been apart.
So beautiful. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Rob. So this is our time of giving and of sharing. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody who might be watching online now or at some time, because it is the generosity of people like you that has allowed the church to continue to serve in every possible way. You might have gotten a kick out of seeing the scrambling that was going on when we realized that everything needed to be virtual, and it was really something to behold. And it couldn't have happened without the generosity of people like you. So thank you. So everybody online, I think there all says here where you can make a donation. That would be great. Those of you that are in the room, there's some bins out there in the lobby, and they are calling your name. So thank you very much. So let's say our very, the usual affirmation that we say, because I must say I just do love it the most. So, divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is.
So we're going to finish up with a song that Rob and I wrote a while back. This is a song that came from something I call the Heaven Exercise. I was taking the trash out one night on a really crisp fall night, and as I was walking back out the driveway, I thought, what would it be if I was walking into heaven right now? I mean, if this was heaven, coming back up to my house and Stephanie waiting inside and fire's burning, and what if this is heaven? And I thought, that's okay. That's what this song's about. There's talk of the end times again, whenever the game gets rough. People saying our time is up, and it's all about to blow. And who are the chosen ones whose flag will stand waving in the sun? Like in all of those stories that we spun, praying round the fire. With our gods of war and anger, we fight for a promised land. With heaven somewhere far away, will we ever understand? When we find the divine in our hearts and minds, each in our own way, we'll be living in heaven on that day. We'll be living in heaven on that day. When we find the divine in our hearts and minds, each in our own way, we'll be living in heaven on that day. I know that God's always here. Every moment, every year. There is no calendar or fear to keep the one away. We're part of the one great plan. Every woman, child, and man, whatever our tribe or clan, our souls will carry on. And the masters come to show us we're not on this road alone. And they leave a trail to heaven here, and they welcome us back home. When we find the divine in our hearts and minds, each in our own way, we'll be living in heaven on that day. We'll be living in heaven on that day. Let's start living in heaven today. Rob Lowe on the keyboard there.
Now is our time for some community prayer. And I'd like to hearken back to Barry's song on Let Your Soul Surrender. And as Barry sang in that song, that once our soul surrenders, we recognize our oneness with that divine presence. That it is the only presence. As Kay said, God is I am God. There is no separation. And as we create those new thought patterns, perhaps a new affirmation, a new vibration, we bring to all of us such health and well-being that the very vibration of the air surrounding us or surrounding anyone that you are praying for this evening, it is the perfection of God. It is the God vibration in every cell, every action, every function of this physical body. But it goes beyond the physical into the mental, the emotional, and always the spiritual states. And as we recognize our oneness with that divine presence, we recognize that all the abundance of the universe is ours. That abundance shows up in so many, many multitude of ways. That God continues to creates through us, creates through nature, creates through this physical universe. The joy and love and beingness, new inventions, new creations, new animals, new plants. That abundance that God is so lavishly abundant. And we just have to recognize that in our lives, accept it and recognize it. I also know that because we are one with all, that all of our relationships also fall into that perfect pattern of wholeness, of joy, as we simply step back and not bring our judgments, our inner critic, our nagging Nellies, whatever it may be, into every interaction. We let them slip away. We opened our minds and our hearts to the relationships with others, and they outpicture perfectly in our lives. In this strength of understanding these principles, these laws, that this universe is a divinely ordained and ordered experience of God, And we are simply here to enjoy, to relax, to experience, to love, to reach to others. And in knowing this, I give great gratitude for recognizing this essence of God permeating everything. The essence of God right here on this Wednesday evening, or whenever you may be listening to this message. Recognizing and giving thanks for that oneness, that truth, and that beauty that is our experience as children of God. And these words are released into that creative law, knowing they are made manifest right now. And so it is. And so just a few announcements. This coming Sunday, Dr. Michelle is giving the talk. Her title is Transcending the Sound Bites, Fostering Greater Connection with Ourselves and Each Other. And next Wednesday, I'm speaking, and my topic is Resplendent Wisdom. We have the farmers market on Saturday. On Sunday, we have a new members class online. You can sign up by going to our website. You can get more prayer by just, again, going to our website, filling out a prayer request. And, farmers market on Saturday. We invite you all to come. And for sure, we invite you to come on Sunday. The 8 o'clock and the 10 o'clock service are rolling along. We've got plenty of room. You can be socially distanced, but you can see all your buds. And we are so grateful that you are all here this evening. And back to our fabulous music team.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Kay.